Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I am Andrea B. Happy Wednesday for me. Happy day to you, whatever day it is. Beverage of the day for me is apple juice, cold. See the glass glistening. Cheers, cheers. If you are new, be prepared. I may pause randomly to say excuse me because sometimes I have to burp. My body does what it does. So, excuse me in advance. If you are not new, you know what to expect. That's just what happens when I drink or talk a lot. So, this topic was requested. It is a topic that I love to dive into personally, professionally, as a therapist. This comes up with clients that I see. I'm all for boundaries, enforcing them, respecting boundaries, respecting others' boundaries, respecting the boundaries that we set for ourselves because that can be a struggle. Boundaries all around. And when setting boundaries, finding your way on the path of being at peace with setting those boundaries. That can be the hardest thing. Sometimes there are a lot of emotions that come with it, which is understandable. And we will get into all of that. And I want to open with scripture. So, in Luke 14:26 through 27, excuse me. So, it says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, in the sense of indifference to or relative disregard for them in comparison with his attitude toward God, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross, expressing a willingness to endure whatever may come and follow after me, believing in me, conforming to my example in living, and, if need be, suffering or perhaps dying because of faith in me, cannot be my disciple. So, Jesus said these words to his followers, to his disciples, and a few of them protested and said, wait, before I follow you, let me go and do this first. And before I follow you, let me say bye to these people. And Jesus said, no, be willing to let all of that go, follow me. And that verse I just read, those two verses, actually are taken out of context quite a bit. Now, Jesus was likely gracious enough to not just expect people to run and drop things all the time. However, when the time comes, Jesus will expect us to choose because we can choose when to follow him and when to hold on to our life and everything else other than him. Now, the point of that, though, is that Jesus is saying, be willing, if it comes down to it, be willing to let all the people go, all your possessions, material items, everything, even your life. Be willing to let go of your life to follow me. Now, that sounds extreme, right? Because it is, to be honest. Jesus does not expect it to be easy. He understands that it will be a struggle, and the reward is choosing him. Now, when you constantly choose Jesus, when you constantly accept Him in your life, it will be rewarding. You may not believe that. Take some time, look through your life, look at things that you've received, times that God has been there for you and shown up, and hopefully that's evidence enough that life with Him is rewarding. And that's what He wants us to see. And He recognizes that sometimes people will get in our way, we get in our way, our items, our homes and cars, everything inside of them can get in our way to the point that we are not focused on Him anymore. We're idolizing and worshiping everything but Him. So He's saying in Luke 14, be willing to let go for me and don't give up on me. People may hate you, they may want to curse you out, they may want to beat you up and hunt you down, they may want to crucify you like Jesus. And He's saying, for me, be willing to endure it. And He will be there with you through it all, as long as you accept Him in your hearts, choose Him, seek Him, trust Him, lean on Him for strength and understanding and guidance. Now, what in the world does this have to do with boundaries? Let me tell you. If you are not a believer quite yet, boundaries are still important for you. Now, when it comes to living righteously, and I say if you're not a believer yet, because hopefully you're watching this so that you can get there. If you want to live righteously, even if you say, I'm not ready to accept Jesus yet, your honesty is valid. But living righteously and living in truth is still living for Christ. That's not all, though. He still wants you to accept Him and accept that these are His ways of living, so that you don't lose sight of that, what He has given you. Now, but just on a general basis, if you say, I want to live better than what I'm doing now, boundaries are important for you, and you have to be willing to let go of things and people to live righteously. Now, everyone included in this, believers as well, living for God, He expects us to do His will. He hopes that we have a desire to do His will and live according to His plan, for our lives. And if anyone is getting in your way of doing that, they have to go. Anything is getting in your way of that, it has to go. Now, does it mean completely? Maybe not. Maybe it just means half of your time stops going to them or that thing. And that just means you'll be saying no to people and those things a little bit more. It looks like saying no to yourself as well. If you remember my story in earlier videos talking about my experience with binge eating and overeating, to break that cycle, I had to say no to that part of me that had desires to eat. And by setting that boundary, I had to say, as uncomfortable as it is to say no to this urge, the reward will be worth it, because the urge will come and go. That's what urges are. But sitting through that urge, accepting it, and finding comfort and sitting through it is where the growth comes in, because I will be proud of myself for saying no, because if I give in to that urge, I'll feel guilty for overeating, and then I'll feel uncomfortable physically, and that is the worst experience ever, because that discomfort lasts so long. And my mind may have reconciled with my decision. I may have mentally and spiritually repented from binge eating, and my body did not catch up to that. And so I'm frustrated, annoyed, and disappointed, and I have to carry that versus saying no in the moment and honoring my body when it says I'm full and when it says I'm hungry again. And then I feel good because I'm not stuffed. I'm proud of myself for practicing that control and saying no. And there's growth in that. That is an example of a personal boundary. That is an example of saying no to food, yes to God, because gluttony is a sin. So I am obeying God, and I am respecting myself. I'm proud of myself for all of that. Now, when it comes to people, other people, from a biblical sense, we are encouraged to love others, be kind, and that requires selflessness. Now, all the time, no. God does not expect us to give in to others all the time, because at some point we have to give time to ourselves. We definitely have to give time to God. And so we have to know when to say no to other things and people and to say yes to God, what He calls us to do. And people pleasing is very, very strong. It's very, very common in people because there is likely a consequence that you've experienced. There's a consequence that you are afraid of experiencing. And so you tell yourself it's easier to just say yes and give in to avoid maybe conflict. This person may be mad at you. They may try to curse you out. They may cut you off, whatever, whatever. Maybe there's another reason. I encourage you to think about that. If you experience people pleasing, if this is something you struggle with, think of an example and explore times where you said yes to something when you really wanted to say no and should have said no. And what's an example of that? Let's say you have to go to work and someone asks to borrow your car, and when they ask to borrow your car, it cuts into when it's time for you to go to work. Now, what if you say yes to them to borrowing your car? Okay, sure, maybe the negotiable in that is you can borrow my car, but ride with me to work, so it's as if you're dropping me off, and then take the car, but just bring it back to pick me up. And they say, cool. Now, what happens when they don't do that? They don't bring your car back. What if they don't bring your car back till the next day or the next week? Now, that's unfortunate. Hopefully, that is enough for you to pause and say, okay, maybe letting you borrow my car is a big responsibility for you, so I cannot do that. That doesn't mean we're not still cool. That doesn't mean our relationship is over. That just means I can't trust you in this area. And if they don't understand that, if they are oblivious to not doing what you asked them to do, chances are you may not want a relationship with them, or you may need some space from them because they are just playing in your face at that point as if they didn't do anything wrong. Unacceptable. people like that, people that behave like that, let God deal with them. Let God do it, because there is nothing you can do at that point to try to explain what they did wrong, because they won't be ready to see it. Now, on the other hand, you may, let's say they say, I get it, I should have brought it back. No explanation needed. I just accept that I should have brought it back. I apologize. I understand why you don't trust me, and moving forward, I'm willing to do what it takes for you to regain my trust. That's a person you likely want in your life, because they're taking responsibility. They acknowledge your feelings and how they let you down, and then they're willing to do the work. When we set boundaries, that gives us an opportunity to strengthen our connections. That gives us an opportunity to grow with people, and also for ourselves, because there is comfort and confidence that comes with saying no. If it's new for you, it may be a challenge, and the more you set those boundaries, the more comfort you will find in saying no to others and yes to yourself. And more importantly, yes to God, because you know there's a reward and a benefit. Now, I'm not talking about people that just say no all the time to everything. Again, there has to be some type of balance where you're saying yes. And you probably don't realize all the times that you are saying yes to other people's boundaries. And even if you don't want to use boundaries, you can say demands or requests. If your boss has a request for you to come in at 5 a.m. and you come in at 5, you are honoring their request. Now, a boundary, let's say your boss says to work at this job, I won't accept you coming in after 5 a.m. You have to come at 5 a.m. That is what I'm expecting you to do. I'm not willing to open my door for you after 5 a.m. That's a boundary being set. They're saying, I'm not willing to let you in. I need you here at 5. If you sign up for that, you are making a choice. It's not your boss's fault. Don't go complaining, my boss is so unreasonable. They won't let me come after 5. No, no, no. Your boss has a ask for a reason. That's their expectation. You may think it's unreasonable, but if it's not for you, it's just not for you. Don't go bashing your boss. Just say, I decline this offer. I appreciate you extending this to me. I understand that you would like for me to come in at 5. However, I do not agree with those terms. And then your boss may hear that and say, all right, I'm willing to negotiate with you. Or they may say, I appreciate you telling me, and if you change your mind, let me know. Then they may find someone that is on board with that agreement. That's all it needs to be. Now, everyone's different, so boundaries don't always go that smoothly. However, there does not need to be a fight. Just accept it or don't. Respect it or don't. And people may bash you for your boundaries. There may be judgment, there may be criticism, there may be backstabbing. That will all be revealed. Whatever happens behind your back, God will reveal it to you and let you know who's really there for you. He will protect you. Pray for it. Ask Him to protect you. He most certainly will. He will not play about you. The reason I say that is because that is another reason that people have a hard time setting boundaries. As I said, There may be something that you are anticipating, some sort of conflict. Judgment may be a part of that as well. It doesn't feel good. I know personally, I'll tell you, growing up, being judged and criticized and misunderstood was a peeve of mine. I hated it. I still don't like it. However, I can accept when people do it. They're going to do what they want to do. That doesn't mean I like it, but I just accept that that's what it is. And that lets me know how to operate with these people. So if I set a boundary and someone doesn't like it, well, they don't have to. If I am not willing to negotiate this boundary, I don't have to. If this doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. And this is professionally as well. I may say, this is the time that I'm willing to work with you. After this time, I am unavailable. If someone reaches out when I'm not available, they may not get a response, especially if I told them I'm not available. If they are disappointed and mad at me for it, they just have to be mad at me. Now, I don't like it. I talked about people pleasing a few minutes ago. I struggled with that too. I want to please people. I want to help. I want to do what I can to help people feel better. And I had to accept that I just can't do it all by myself. Sometimes I have to step away so that I can make room for someone else to be able to help them. Maybe God is calling someone else to be a blessing and telling me, just step aside. You've done enough, or I need you in this other area over here. You did all you could, and now it's time to step away. Allow someone else to have that opportunity. Great, less work for me over here. That allows you to get the support you need from someone else, because it will be unfair for me to have to always be available when a person needs me, to have to always help and always have it figured out. That's just very unrealistic. I know. I had to teach myself that. I won't say teach myself. I learned it. I have to remind myself of that. And I need reminders everywhere. I keep saying I have to remind myself. It's not just me. Sometimes I remind myself. Sometimes it's coming from the Holy Spirit. Sometimes it's from reminders from other people. The point is, I need reminders. This is a practice for me too, to set boundaries and say, I have to say no. I can't always be there for you. I would love to help, and this is how I can help. If I can't help, I just can't help. That is another point that I think is important. Do not feel guilt for not being able to help. You are only capable of so much. It is unfair for you to be expected to do more than you're capable of. If you're not there yet, you're just not there. If you don't have the capacity, you just don't. Maybe someone's asking you of something. Let's say your foot is broken and someone says, can you help me move into my new apartment? What in the world are you going to do with that broken foot? What do they want you to move? How are you going to help? Maybe you can help. Maybe they're saying, I just need somebody to help me carry this furniture. You say, actually, I cannot do that. My foot isn't stable enough to stand on. I have to use both hands to hold these crutches or this wheelchair to roll, and I can't carry furniture and do that. Maybe, I've seen people do amazing things in wheelchairs and power chairs. That's another story though. The point is, which you get my point, is that your foot is calling you for repair and healing and saying, please chill out. I need you to relax and just sit. Maybe you tell that person, actually, I can't help you move. If there's anything else I can do for you, maybe labeling or sorting out items, maybe unpacking them, and you store them away, but maybe I just take them out of the boxes, whatever. There are alternatives, but it is unfair for you to be criticized and judged and bashed and feeling shame and guilt because your foot is broken and you're not capable of moving any furniture. How dare somebody do that to you? How dare you do that to yourself? Now, if it's not your foot, use it somewhere else. Someone is requiring you or requesting that you do something. They're calling out to you. And if you're not there, you're not there. Maybe it's Spanish. Someone says, teach me Spanish. I need help. What if you don't know Spanish? Are you a terrible person for saying no because you can't help someone learn Spanish? No, you're not terrible. You're just a person that doesn't know Spanish. How dare you have to carry, like, why? That's unfair for you to have to carry that guilt and shame for that, for what you're not capable of doing. And don't take it as a personal attack. That's just reality. We are not capable of doing everything. If you are trying to people please everywhere for everyone, you are trying to play God. Even God doesn't people please to everyone. You think if someone is struggling or harming themselves, God is enabling that, saying, yeah, let me help you out, and let me just give you everything you want. Now, we all can speak to that. We ask God for something, we say right here, right now, and God hasn't done it. God does not care about your timeline, your expectations. If God says no, that's a no. And you can't make him give you anything. None of us can. He will if he wants to. That's it. Take that up with God, okay? Because if God is not doing it himself, why in the world are you expected to people please for everyone? That is a heavy burden, especially if you don't want to. That's another thing. We may be called to do something. And when I say called, I mean by God. Let's start there. If God calls you to do something that you don't want to do, be honest. He knows your heart. He knows when you're genuine. Just say, God, I'm having a hard time. I really don't want to do it. And maybe he'll call you to do it later. That's fine. Who knows? But just be honest in the moment. Say, I really don't feel like doing it. Now, you may be called to do something by someone else. They may make a request, reach out to you and say, hey, I need this. What if you really don't want to do it? Chances are, if you are people pleasing, you're doing a lot of things that you really don't want to do, and then you're resentful of yourself later for saying yes. You're probably sitting there saying, I should have said no. Next time they ask, I'm not going to do it, and blah, 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 blah. Yes, I've been there, and it sucks because that is an opportunity that we don't get back. And we're hoping, if you're like me, you're waiting for the opportunity so you can prove it. You're probably saying, wait till they ask me. I can't wait to say no. Like you're just holding on to that, and then they don't ask for nothing, and then you're mad like me, saying, man, I should have just said no the first time. And it's a big, just it's just a big issue. So to avoid that resentment toward yourself, say no. Say no with an alternative. You can just say no. You don't even have to explain. Or you can explain the reason. No, I'm not comfortable doing this. No, I'm not ready. Now isn't the time. Maybe later. Whatever it is. Another thing is not lying when it comes to saying no and setting boundaries. You don't have to lie. What This is a common one now. This is me knowing the power of the tongue. When I did not want to go to an internship, I just said, I can't make it in today. Now, the next day I went in, my supervisor said, what happened? You didn't come in today, and then today you were late. I said, yesterday I was late because there was traffic, but yesterday I did not want to come in, and I just didn't come in. And the look she gave me, she had her mask on. It was fresh pandemic. And her eyebrows, though, like she looked over her glasses and looked at me with disappointment. And I sat there and, yep, I did not want to come in. That's just that. I'd rather tell you the truth than to lie, because what happens if I say I wasn't feeling well and then boom, I get sick? I don't want that for myself. I don't want to speak that over myself. So I'd rather say I just did not want to come. Same thing, I hear people say, oh, my family member's in the hospital, or my car broke down. I don't want to spread those lies. And if you're like me, you feel guilty for lying because the conscience is there. The Holy Spirit is convicting you, saying, what about that lie you told, though? That that's another sin, by the way. So it's not worth it. Because what happens with lies, you have to make another one and another one. You have to remember the first five. You have to retell it the same way. I just don't want the work. There is so much work already. Being alive is work. Getting out of bed is work. I don't want the work of lying and then carrying that lie. That's just too much. I don't have energy for that. I don't want to invest energy in that. And I hope you don't either. I promise you it's not worth it, because you are tarnishing your character by lying. The lie, it'll come out. May not be right away, but it will come out that you were lying. That speaks to whether people will trust you or not. Now, if you don't want to be trusted, keep lying. You're doing great in that department of not being trusted. However, if you do, I'm talking to you. Lying is not worth it. It's better to just say, no, I don't want to come in. I'm not able to come in. Give an explanation if you want to. You can even say, I'm having a hard time sharing why I don't want to do this. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know how you're going to react, whatever. I think the real issue that people have, not only with boundaries, is an ability to be vulnerable. Because saying no and accepting the consequences of saying no is a vulnerability. That is you accepting that there will be something uncomfortable, and you have to face that and feel that. And what does that mean for you? Let's say you're setting a boundary with a family member and they don't want to speak to you anymore. The vulnerability is likely you being sad or hurt or mad that they don't want to talk to you, and you don't want to go through that. You don't want that wound to be open, so you'd rather say yes. It's not worth it. It's really not. It's really not. How to make peace with setting those boundaries. Remember, it is all a choice. You have the power to say yes or no to all things. So if you make that choice, make it, own up to it, stand confidently on it. This is the choice I'm making, and you may not like it. You may be mad at me for it, and this is the choice I made. Because if you make a choice and don't take accountability for that, you are sabotaging yourself, your progress. No one else can take responsibility for the choices that you made. So you have to be accountable and say, I said yes to this person and I really didn't want to. That's on me. What can I do differently so that this doesn't happen again? Because I'm resentful and this sucks, and now I'm guilty and shameful. I'm just not happy that I said yes. Honor that. You said it. You said yes for a reason. You can't take it back. It happened. That is where peace comes in, is first acknowledging the choice you made. Same with that no. You said no to somebody. It hurts. You're scared of what may happen. You don't like it. You made that choice. You didn't have to, because guess what? You could have said yes, but will you likely resent yourself? You say no and you risk someone else being uncomfortable. If someone else is uncomfortable with your no to them, that's their discomfort to carry. It's not yours to carry. That's for them to work through. If there is nothing you can do to help them be comfortable, there's just nothing you can do. They have to carry that discomfort. Maybe they'll go to someone else. Maybe they'll go to a friend and say, Andrea didn't say yes to me, and I'm uncomfortable with it. And I told her I was uncomfortable, and she said, oh, there's nothing she can do about it. The person they go to may say, well, she has a right to say no. And then they're mad at them, and then it's a whole cycle. Now that person, they have to deal with more discomfort from me and somebody else. Or that person could just tell them everything they want to hear, and then they're bashing me and whatever. That is something I am willing to risk. If setting that boundary comes with me being bashed and judged and disrespected, do what you have to do and peace out for me, because I'd rather have people in my life that want to honor and respect my boundaries, because they want that from me as well. They want it from you. So you can respect their boundaries and they don't want to respect yours. That's not reciprocal. That's not a relationship. That is selfishness. It's they get what they want and they don't care about what you want. They don't care about you getting what you want, as long as they get what they want. Excuse me. That's selfish. So, same example of that personal boundary I said earlier. If I say yes to this food when I'm full, I am uncomfortable, I feel sick, I'm disappointed in myself, I'm ashamed. I say no to that food. I know, on the other hand, I may be mad. I may really want that food, and I may be mad that I can't have it right now. Well, that's me saying I'm willing to accept that I can't always have what I want when I want, and I will get over it. It may sound harsh to say that to yourself, but that's basically what it is a get over it. Because if not, you can sit and sulk and cry, but if there's nothing you can do, you are wasting time and energy focusing on things that you can't control, or in some cases you can. When it comes to personal boundaries, I can control. I can give in and say, forget being mad at myself. Forget waiting until I'm hungry again. I'm just going to eat what I want now because I want it. I can do that, but because I know it's not worth it, I can now say no with confidence, because the reward will be saying yes to other areas of myself. And again, saying yes to God. Because remember, gluttony is a sin, okay? It's a sin. It's in the Bible. Now, same example. What did I just say? Help me out, Holy Spirit. I said something that is powerful. Oh, control. Yes. No one can control whether you say yes to them or not. They may try to manipulate you. They may say, oh, you're going to do me like that. Especially family. Family is known for saying, oh, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, I'm your grandma, your grandpa, I'm your cousin, your sister, your brother, name it. They will pull it. Oh, after everything I did for you? Yeah. Thank you for what you've done for me. And it's still a no. We don't tolerate manipulation. If people are willing to stoop that low to get what they want, that's a sickness within them. That's a sickness. And that shows a deeper issue that they're dealing with and experiencing. That is them saying, I am hurt that you are not willing to do this for me. I think I've done so much for you, and I was hoping you do the same. I was hoping you do something for me. Listen, we don't tolerate manipulation, none of that. So, don't give into it. Stand strong. It may be hard, I know, because those are your people, especially if you see them more often than others. I know it may not be easy, and it will be worth it. It will be worth it. And that's control. They can't control whether you say yes or no. And they have to deal with that. They have to accept that they don't have control over you. If they did, guess what? They wouldn't ask you for anything. They just make you do it. Well, they can't. That's why they're asking you. That's why they're trying to manipulate you, because they want you to change your mind. You saying no or yes to anything is you demonstrating how much power you have over yourself and what you do with your time and your energy and your resources. No one else has control over you and what you do. So, exercise your control. If they don't like it, they have to accept that. If they're crying and pouting, they have to go through that. And hopefully, you are okay with that, because they have to do that work to be okay with not having control. They have to be okay with not getting their way and being disappointed. And hopefully they snap out of it and say, wait, I'm complaining because they said no to me. Instead of complaining and crying and pouting, I will just ask someone else. Because that's how big and beautiful this world is that God wants us to lean on each other. Not just one person, but He hopes that we can share and spread our resources around globally with discernment. But that's the goal of us being here, to help each other. He doesn't expect only one of us to have it all figured out. No. So if I ask you for something and you say no, I can go to someone else. If they say no, I can go to someone else. I can keep going. So if you say no to someone, let them ask. It is out of your hands. You don't have to do that work for them. Or you may even say, I may not be able to, but I know someone that can. Are you interested in their information? They may say yes, they may say no. But that's you doing your part. You are doing enough. You don't even have to do that. But out of the kindness of your heart, you're saying, I can't, they can. They may be willing to if you give them a call. Boom. That is still helping. And if that person doesn't appreciate you giving a suggestion, well, my goodness, what will make them happy? They don't know. They don't know. And you won't know. If they don't know what will make them happy, how will you know? And people pleasing is not going to do it, because what happens? People pleasing, you are likely jumping through hoops to please the other person, make sure they're happy and satisfied and comfortable, and it may never be enough. So, always, 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 my personal favorite is to ask people, what do they need? If it is unclear, someone may say, hey, I need your help. What if they need my help with fixing their car, but instead I'm cooking them dinner, teaching them, giving them a tutorial on how to make fettuccine or something? And they're sitting here like, yeah, this is cool, this is good, but I don't need your help with this. I need your help to fix my car. Look, I didn't wasted all that time on a fettuccine tutorial when I could have said beforehand, oh, I don't fix cars. I don't know anything about that. If you need help pumping gas, sure, but fixing your car, I don't know. I know some people that can. So if someone needs your help, what do you need? Someone says, let me borrow some money. Okay, well, how much do you need? How much are you looking for? $100. I'm not able to give you 100. I can only spare 10. Is that okay? If they're smart, they'll say yes, because they need 100. 10 is a start. It's not everything, but it's still something. Whereas they may ask the next person, and that person can give them the 90, or that person may even give them 100 more than they need. And then they have, what's that? Plus your 10? Math. I don't feel like 100 more than they need. So yeah, that person may give them double. I know math, but I think I confused myself there. If you give them 10 and they go to somebody else saying, hey, I just need $90, that person may give them the 90. Boom, they have 100. They may say, here's 100 more. So then they got 200. They have 100 more than they need. That wasn't so confusing. I just had to break it down now that I went through that. Anyway, you get the point though. You get the point. And hopefully they do, because what are they going to say? You're broke. All you can give me is $10. Oh, don't be petty. Don't throw in their face that they asked you for money, but they called you broke. Don't be petty. Don't stoop to that level. Don't do it. God will humble them. Let them feel how they feel. Let them feel how they feel. Or you may be able to hold them accountable. Just don't bash them. Don't call them broke because they called you broke. They'll get the hint. The point is, if that's how they treat you for only being able to give $10, well, you probably wouldn't want to give them $10 after that. If they call you broke, it's like, oh, forget you. Since I'm so broke, my money's no good for you then. Since I can't give you 100, I will keep my $10. Oh well. Oh well. So, peace. Accepting your choices, knowing that you don't have to do any of this. Now, yes, like I said, we are encouraged to be kind and to love one another, and that can look like so many different things. Saying no kindly is love. Being respectful is love. Love does not mean doing any and everything that you want when you want it. Just because you're my mom, father, brother, sister, cousin, that does not mean I have to bend to you. That's not what love, that's not what the Bible is saying when it comes to love. Because you're also not doing that person a favor. What if the easy way out for a person was to always come to you because they know that you are going to be there? they won't know what it's like to lean on anybody else. And that will be harmful for them because one day you won't be available and they will have to figure it out. If they don't have a support system lined up, or if they don't have enough sense to just Google to figure out the answer, that is on them. You're not helping them by trying to do it all for them. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not feel like it. Just be honest with yourself. God would rather you be honest and say, I'm just having a hard time doing this. I don't want to. Ask Him for help. He will help you. He will acknowledge that you're having a hard time. It happened to me earlier. I saw someone on the street with a sign that said, please help me. I didn't want to. I did not want to. And I admitted that, and I'm admitting it now. And I don't even know what that means. See, the sign said, please help me. Okay, I think I remember them having a cup. So I assume that's money. But if food fits in the cup, then maybe that's what they wanted. But the point is, the sign said, please help me. I didn't want to help because I assumed they wanted money. That's what most folks want when they are on the street. They want the money or the food. I didn't have any food on me. The point, though, is because the sign said, please help me, instead of being rigid and resistant, I could have said, what do you need? Then they probably would have told me, I just need a couple of dollars. Oh, actually, I don't have that. Or they could have said, what do you think I want? I'm out here and like, whoa, bye, I'm pulling off. I won't tolerate that attitude. So that's me being convicted. This is the first time I'm actually saying this out loud. But earlier, yes, I did say I don't want to help because I think instead of standing on the street, it will be nice to go to all the many establishments around and maybe just ask for a little something, food, water, access to a computer, to look for help, apply for a job or something. I just think there's so many resources that I think it's easy for people to just go on and beg on the street. Now, if you're homeless, I get that you have nowhere else to go but the street. There's options. I use nowhere else loosely. My point is, that's where my discomfort came from. I said, I just think people waste too much time expecting drivers to help when they probably could have gotten the help they needed by walking into one of these establishments. And that's also coming from a place of me being deceived before, seeing my friends deceived by people begging, and then a week later that same person is begging with the same story, and then they ruined it for the rest of the class. Because there are people, I admit, on the street that do really need help, and there are times where I can help people and I feel comfortable doing so. And this is another great example of maybe you don't want to help because you don't have much to give. Maybe you just have enough to get you through the day, and that is okay. And who knows, I hear stories of people giving their last and then they're rewarded with so much more. That can also happen. If God encourages you to give, trust that He will provide. Just like me, the advice is for me too. I can trust that God will provide. I could have given that man something, and if that were my last, I can trust that God will provide. Or what I like to say is, when I have given money and food to people, I say, I don't know if they really need it. It's not for me to judge. God has it under control from here. He will not let my deed go to waste. He will provide for me. And if that person is being deceitful, they will be taken care of. It's not for me to judge if they really need it or not, because I don't know. I won't know unless, like I said, the story isn't adding up, or I catch them this time. And I'll tell you, I was in the airport once. This lady asked me for money. She said she had her 2 kids and she needed some money. All I had on me were 20s in cash. She saw me pull the 20 out and saw the rest of my wallet and looked and said, "Oh, that's it?" I learned from that. Yep. That's an example. That's what I mean when I say I was deceived. I know I was deceived in that. For her to say, "Oh, that's it." Ma'am, I mean, remember, you asked for 100, I got 10. You take this 10 or I keep it. Which one is it? So you take the 20 or I keep it. Don't count. Don't count what I got going on. I didn't say that, but afterwards I said, yeah, I probably should not have given her the money with that attitude she had. But I did it. The deed is done. I learned from it. Just be careful, because if it's not someone on the street, it's someone right under your nose that is expecting you to give and hand out. And I've even seen people on the street get food and they throw the food. I don't want this. What am I going to do with it? I didn't ask. It's like, whoa. All right, not with that attitude. So let's be kind. Because remember, you can also offer a service and someone can say no thank you. You can offer food to a homeless person, they can say no thank you. But we will not tolerate disrespect or manipulation or any deceit, anything that is not truth, anything that is not of God. Please don't tolerate it. Don't tolerate it, because God has your back. He will protect you and cover you. And I think that is where peace comes from. Like I said, accepting the choices you make and asking yourself what's important to you. What's worth it to you? Is this worth it? Is this yes worth it? Is this no worth it? What's important? And finding peace with the boundaries you set comes from a willingness to let go of what doesn't serve you and what gets in the way of God's plan for your life. When you are comfortable letting go of people and things, you will be so happy. You will find peace with setting those boundaries, because that means that person and that thing is not getting in your way, getting in the path of righteousness, getting in your way of progress and growth. Can't take them with you. You can't take everything with you. That's just life. And my hope is that you find peace in that. My prayer is that you all accept God in your hearts, in your lives, believe in Him, seek Him, read His Word, trust Him, allow Him to guide you, lean on Him for understanding, for wisdom. Allow Him to protect you and cover you. Use the spirit of discernment. Seek God. Keep Him in everything you do, every choice. You will not be disappointed. Amen, amen. So, seal this with some apple juice. That is all, folks. That is all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a resource for this very thing that helps me. I like to share with my clients too. It works. It's a helpful reminder for setting boundaries and what to remember when saying no. I will put that in the description. Hopefully, if I don't have any issues, I'll either share the. I'll type it out. That'll be easier. You'll either way. You'll see it in the description. But anyway, that is all I have. Thank you for tuning in. I pray that you all receive this message with love. As always, the goal is to give all honor, praise, and glory back to God. It's not for me to have the credit. This is all for Him, spreading His word, His truth, His knowledge, and His glory with you. Share with people in your life. Just share, like, subscribe, and feel free to comment. Feel free to send suggestions, whatever you want to hear me talk about. I appreciate the requests so far. I appreciate you all trusting me to share some of the wisdom that I've gained through the Holy Spirit and all of my years of living. May not seem long to some of you, and it felt long. God, it's been a long road. And I'm here. It's been a beautiful road as well. Beautiful, a little bit of ugly. You get the gist. But hit the bell in the video so you can get the notifications as well. And until next time, people, take care, stay hydrated, and I will see you next time. That's still my default. Somebody send me suggestions. I'll have to look back at other videos and see what I said, because if you're new here, you just know I struggle with this. It's a habit to say see you next time, but I know I won't see you. I'm just so literal like that. I know I won't see you. So, see you next time is my default. However, what I want to say is adios. Sayonara, does that mean goodbye? I won't say anything if I don't know what it means. Forget that. I'll come back on that one. Peace out. This isn't a goodbye. I will be back. That's why I say see you later. See you next time. But y'all know what I mean. Bear with me. Bye-bye.